Among the leaders in OAU, there was this young person from Burkina Faso who came into the conference or whatever, was it the meeting? I'm talking of Thomas Sankara, and said, you know what, let us agree that we will never allow the trap of dwindling and crippling of our economies, by what? Through agreeing to pay colonial debt. Let us agree that we are not gonna pay colonial debt. You know why? Because the colonial government had to go to IMF, World Bank, and what? To make loans, not to develop us, but to fight against our dream for our liberation. Those loans were weapons against us, against our livelihood, against our existence, here in Africa, in our respective geographic spaces called countries. Let us not pay. And I, representing Burkina Faso, are not gonna pay any colonial debt. Then look at the leadership that he carried out in Burkina Faso. He was the youngest among all those old people, in the Organization of African Unity at some point. He was the youngest, very revolutionary, and said, no, we are not gonna take this. But look what happened. Just like similarly what they did to also the youngest at some point also amongst the African leaders. I'm talking of Patrice Lumumba of the then Congo Zaire. He had the same mindset like Thomas Sankara. He was practical about what the likes of Haile Selassie, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, the likes of Julius Nyerere, all those, were discussing or talking about. They were practical about it. They were not preaching the gospel of African unity. They were doing African unity, liberation through collective, self-determination. But they were taken away by the colonizers using or collaborating with locals, Africans also. Sellouts, amambuga kade sinawo. Amambuga kade khona namanje akhona amambuga. Abanye babo bayinhloko zamazwe la eAfrica. They are head of states. We have sellouts, collaborators with the enemies. Just like some of those kings who also collaborated with the invaders. We are hoping that their kingdoms or their political career or kingship will be protected by these invaders, only to discover that they were just selling out their own selves. So we have ever had this problem of sellouts who happen to be in key positions, influential positions, wherever we might be. Political positions. It's just not just a new thing about the leaders in the African Union. The leaders that were in the Organization of African Unity. It's not a new thing. Even during then, when the colonizers arrived, we had amambuga, we had sellouts, kings and chiefs who collaborated with these people, who also sent their young men, their warriors, to collaborate, work together with these invaders, white invaders, to go and invade other neighboring tribes. You said this thing. Maybe we still need some spiritual cleansing as African people, so that we cut this pattern, so that the spirit of those foolish kings and foolish tribes, chiefs, don't keep reincarnating into people who come into political office, because there is nowhere where we're going. There is nowhere where we're going to get, as long as things continue the way they are running right now. We are having a problem. But yeah, man, that is why, we are not seeing any progress, within the institution of this African Union now. African Union is not doing anything for African unity. Let's look at what's happening, in some geographic spaces, regions where there are endless wars. You look at South Sudan. Ever since we grew up, we grew up knowing that there is war in South Sudan. Up to now, where are African heads of states? We have this problem of some other militia groups who wave certain religious flags, going around terrorizing not just communities, but even terrorizing countries. It happened. I remember these guys, they started making a lot of fracas next door here in Mozambique, waving their religious flags. Mozambique had to go to African Union to ask for backup, or they went to SADC to ask for backup to fight against a few group of men. You see, there is a problem here in Africa. We are having a serious problem, but our serious problem is in the head. Leadership. We don't have African leadership. We just have mere leaders in Africa. You check. That's the problem, because we put them there. This person is a sellout. This person is a thief. This person is an immoral being. This person is a fool. This person is a puppet of the colonizers. But you still put him or her there in the position of political office as a president or whatever. You see, we are having a problem here, which needs me and you to participate in the solving of the problem, right? So this is the situation that we are discussing in our topic here, African Union versus African unity. Why is African Union failing, to achieve the goal of African unity? What's the problem? What is the problem? You look at these countries are divided altogether. Political office has become a career. It's no longer an idea of service to the nation. It's a career. And now this is the tradition, it's a culture that is there. That is why you find today young people that don't mind going to the companies run by foreign giant corporations who have an agenda to destroy Africa. They don't mind going to those people to say, I'm opening an organization, a political party or an organization. Can you please fund me? Because they understand that if you want money, these are the people with money. Go to what people, they have money. They will give you the money. You see young people opening all these political parties, see young people, opening all these foolish organizations that, they use, they participate in, and they recruit, especially young African people into these organizations, not to free Africa, not to develop Africa, but just for them to gain, personally, to gain. I'm telling you, even if you look at them, is it Boko Haram? Is it Al-Shabaab? Is it any other organization in your country? Of all these people, they are going around destabilizing order. They are not doing this for the benefit of you as an African, wherever you at. They are doing it for their own good, for their own cause. In Mozambique, the apartheid government and the CIA decided, to fund an opposition movement that was going to oppose, Frelimo, that was headed by then Samora Machel and the likes, because that was Pan-African, that was quite revolutionary, So they had to find Renamo. Who is Renamo? It's African people there in Mozambique, given weapons to really start a civil war, not against the Portuguese and the white people from South Africa, but against other fellow black people. Can't we see this thing happening anywhere, wherever you at, right? So we spoke of such young people within OAU. Now we can talk of young people within African Union, right? Now that is when we can mention again Burkina Faso again. History repeating itself in the good and in the bad also, right? Right now, amongst the African Union, we are having such a young leader like Traoré from Burkina Faso, and other heads of states in what is now referred to as the Sahel region. They are challenging the narrative that is propagated by the AU, African Union. Look at African Union, you find old women, you find these old men. Others are 70 years, they still want to run for office. What a thing. So this young person saying, no, this is how we do it in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Niger. This is how we want things to be done, and we're going to partner with anyone who's going to support our dream. So not all is lost, people, we still have a hope, but we need to participate in the hope for it to be really practical. We need to play a role. We need to play a duty